Okay, we're going to move on about now the responsibilities of a shomer. Even if he agrees to pay, it doesn't just stop there. As we can see at the end on Daf Lamed Daled Amud Base, end of line 17. Amar Rav Huna said, if a shomer agrees to pay, he still has to make an oath that the item, the pikadon, is not in his property. Why? My time. What's the reason for this oath? We didn't see anywhere else they need to make an oath. We are concerned that maybe he laid his eyes on it and he said, "Oh, this is a nice pikadon. Oh, I'd love to have this. Oh, no, it's not mine. You know what? I'll pretend I lost it, or I'll pretend it was stolen, and then I'll pay." Fantastic. He gets his money, I get my item, everyone's happy. And comes along Rav Huna to remind us, no, you're not allowed to do that. You cannot take someone's stuff without their permission. And that's the reason we make him swear it's not in his possession, to prevent the shomer from doing this. So now we have a challenge on this from a Mishnah in Masechta Shavuos. Meisvei, a challenge from a Mishnah. We're going to challenge Rav Huna's rule. What does it say in the Mishnah? If a person lends someone money with collateral, so the malver, who is the lender, lends the loiver, the borrower, money, and says, I want an item as collateral on the loan to guarantee you're going to pay it back. So he takes an item, whatever it is. The Hamashkon, line 21, and then the mashkon begets lost. So the malver, who's holding on to the collateral of the loiver, he loses it. So now he's chayav because he is a shomer. The Amalai, and he says to him, and now we're going to come with 4 possibilities of what might happen. Looking in the Gemara, line 21. Here's option number 1. This is possibility number 1. The malver, if the malver says, I lent you 1 selah, shekel hayashaver, but the collateral that I lost was only worth a shekel, which is half of a selah. In such a case, so therefore, you still owe me a shekel. You owed me a selah, but I lost your collateral that was worth a shekel, so now it cancels out and you owe me a shekel. The other guy says, the loiver, the borrower says, Loiki, no way. The truth is, I'm telling you that you lent me a selah and selah hayashaver, and the collateral that you lost was worth a selah, and therefore I owe you nothing now. It cancels each other out. So the halacha is patur. The loiver doesn't have to pay anything, and also there's no oath made in this case. What oath could be made? There are 3 levels of admission. If someone claims you owe money and you admit it, then you have to pay. If someone says you owe the money and you say, no, I don't, koifa ba'koil, you say, I owe you nothing, then you have to pay nothing because there's no proof to take your money. But there's no oath either because there's nothing to go on. Whereas if one guy says to the other, you owe me $1, and the other one says, no, I owe you 50 cents, the halacha is that the guy who says, I owe you 50 cents, has to swear that he only owes 50 cents. He's admitted that he owes something, but he's admitting to a different amount. So therefore the Torah makes him swear. So in this case, since he's saying, I owe you nothing, there's no oath, not necessary. That's case number 1. Case number 2, it's where the lender said, I lent you a selah, shekel hayashaver, but the collateral that you gave me was worth a shekel. Same thing as he said before. Therefore, you owe me a shekel. And the other guy says, now we're on line 24 at the end, Loiki, no, that's not what happened, the borrower says. Rather, you lent me a selah, I agree with that. But the collateral is only worth shalaisha dinarim, 3 dinarim. A selah is worth 4 dinarim. And this shomer is saying that his collateral is worth 3 dinar. So I owe you a seller, says the borrower. But you lost my collateral, which was worth 3 dinar. So therefore, I now owe you, yes, I owe you money, but I only owe you 1 dinar. You said I owe you a shekel. I'm denying. I owe you, but not a shekel. I owe you a dinar. So now he's admitted to a partial claim, and therefore the halacha is chayev. He pays, and he's chayev to swear that he owes a dinar, and then he pays the dinar. Okay, now it switches around. Case number 3, line 26. What if the borrower says, you lent me a seller, but the collateral I gave is worth 2. So I owe you a seller, but the collateral I gave you was worth 2 seller you lost. So therefore, you owe me, says the borrower. Keep getting confused. You owe me, says the borrower, 1 seller. And the other guy says, the lender says, Likey, that's not what happened. I lent you a seller on this collateral, and the collateral is worth 1 seller as well. So I owe you nothing. It cancels out. So now, since the lender has said, you telling me I owe you a seller, I'm saying I owe you nothing, Pater doesn't pay, and he doesn't have to make an oath. And now, case number 4 on line 28. Line 28. Line 28. Line 28. You lent me a seller on this collateral. And the collateral is worth 2 seller slime. You owe me a seller. Then the lender says, Likey, no. Rather, I lent you a seller. Yes, I agree with that. Hey dinarim hayashaveh, and the collateral is only worth 5 dinarim. So therefore, I only owe you 1 dinar. I don't owe you a seller. I owe you a dinar. So therefore, chayev, he has to pay, and he has to swear that he owes a dinar, and then he only has to pay a dinar if he swears. Now the Mishnah continues and concludes: Mi nishba, who is the one who swears in this case? Mi shapikadon etzlai, the guy who had the pikadon, who is the lender. The lender was the one who had the collateral in his hand. So he's the one who swears. Why? Shema Yeshavah, because if we were to make the borrower swear on the value of the item, then the lender might say afterwards, haha, I found the pikadon, you're a liar, and therefore you are apostle to testify and based it again. And since the borrower has no control over the item and has no possibility of control over the item, therefore we make the malver, the lender, swear.